A very warm welcome to This is the Business Hour podcast. My name is Jimmy Mbogoh, and today we will be speaking about entrepreneurship. And I will be joined by a very amazing guest, Kang'ethe. She's a CEO and the founder of Linky Events. She's a two-time award-winning event organizer, and she'll be telling us about how the journey has been. But before we go into that conversation, let's take a look at our quote of the day. And our quote of the day says, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions," by none other than Albert Einstein. All right, with that being said, welcome to the program. Linky, karibu sana.
Asante.
And I think let's go straight into it. And the first thing that we want to know, how did your entrepreneurship journey start?
Fantastic. Thank you, Jimmy, for having me. And started way back. I think when I was in school. I've always loved to plan and organize people and organize events and do all that. So it started way back. But officially, I just did one event as, like just assisting your friends to do events. And eventually I said, I think this is what I need to do.
Okay, because
Yes.
I think we've had people who've come on the show, and one of the things that they suggest is if you want to go in, let's say, a farming business, you need to work at a farm to understand how the business works. So how long were you helping this friend?
That's very interesting because at times passion is very important as well. Because when it comes to events, if you don't have passion for it, it can be really draining because it's a lot of work. And so I was passionate about it. And for me, it came naturally. I've actually just studied events way after doing it. But and even most of the things that I was studying on, they're things I had already actuated, like just worked on them and stuff. But for me, it's passion, and I perfected as I went along. And of course, I love excellence. So yeah.
So how long after helping your friend and, let's say, studying, did you finally decide, I'm ready for this entrepreneurship journey, I'm ready to go off on my own?
Let me say that I did an event at KICC, and I launched a book, and we had 5,000 guests, and we sold 4,000 books. And I remember one of the clients, that time it was actually a client. I had not officially really started, but it was a client. And he booked me into a meeting with Big Ted. And they both sat me down and told me, Linky, we know you love being in the fashion industry. I've been in the fashion industry, but you're built to do events. The way you have actuated this event and the way you've done it, has just been amazing. You've blown us away. I think you need to do this. And I had thought of a name that is Noach Events, I remember. And I remember, them telling me, we know you're spiritual and stuff, because Noach means in Hebrew the rest of God.
Yeah.
And they said, Linky, you already a brand by now, so just stick to Linky Events. That would do. So that's how I kicked off, and I was like, okay. I was actually surprised because I actually, one of the biggest events I did, and I overdid it was just amazing. I had booked the client shows. There was huge turnout. He'd given me a team to work with, and it was amazing. And I was like, wow, so this can be done. So
are you telling me that after this one event, this was the birth of Linky Events?
It was the birth full-time. It was part-time before. Okay. It was birth now full-time. They were like, I think this is what you need to do. And I was like, yes, I think I love it. And I have seen that I can do it. So yeah, I think I went all out rather than just having one leg in, one leg out and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, now take us through that thought process. Mm-hmm. Now you finally decided, I'm going to go into events full time. There is no safety net anymore. It's either you make it or you make it. How did that happen for you?
Fantastic. So the beauty about events, you don't need a lot of injection when it comes to investment. So I used myself as an event planner. So when I now progressed to just say that I want to work with corporates, that's when I really needed to put everything in place. Register my company as a limited company, have accounts in place, have lawyers in place, like having really a dream team where you have the HR, you have the, outsourcing the accounts and just putting every system in place. Because when you're working with corporates, you have to work with a lot of professionalism. And I started doing one contract after the other. Yeah, and here we are.
One of the things that I really need to understand is in terms of capital injection and setting up the systems and setting up the company. How costly was it for you?
As I had mentioned before, it's not costly as much because before then I was, I was working as a single entity, me as the planner. So where the cost came in is way later, after I then decided I want to do corporate events. And so I had my business in fashion where I was, I had a shop selling. And so that money that I was earning there then injected into my events company. So my fashion business birthed then the events company to just buy everything that I needed, the computers, to pay the lawyers, to put in everything in place. So I injected money from my other business into this business.
Are you willing to tell us how much was the initial injection?
Initial injection was, I can say it was 450,000 to just, buy the computers, have, an office, set up everything and stuff. So initial was 450, but eventually you find out, I need to have Wi-Fi connection. That's another maybe 15,000 for installation. Yeah. Then you find out, I need a few things like stamps. Gradually, like you have few costings that accrue after that.
And at any point, did you stop and think, maybe this is taking too much capital? Did that thought come to you at any point?
I think the capital, when it comes to events, is human capital. You need a lot of human capital when it comes to events, because then you're using manpower, and you need manpower that has creativity and commitment and passion, because at times you have to leave the event way late at night, and so you have to have someone that's really committed to do it. So I think in events industry, the most that you really need is passion and commitment. That's the greatest capital investment that you will get. Yes, because you can have all the money in place, but if you don't have those, then the event can't run itself. Apparently there has to be people running the events.
And it's interesting because you're not the first person to join us and tell us the role that passion played in their business. And so help me understand this, Linky, because most businesses do not take off automatically. It takes a couple of years, it takes a couple of months. What was that journey for you? How long did it take for you to get to that point where you're feeling this business is now sustainable, it can pay its own bills, it can pay you, and you're happy to do it?
It's interesting, Jimmy, because business is an interesting journey. You kind of never arrive. You're always aiming for higher. And I think where I really felt that, oh goodness, this is an amazing journey, is when clients gave me feedback. That was amazing. It was very fulfilling. And even when you had a challenge, you feel like you want to wake up again for that client and the other client. And it builds a referral system where one client was so happy and they would give me another client. And that was so fulfilling. That's where now I realize, oh, this is worth it. It may not be a smooth road, but it's worth it. Yes.
It's a good thing that you've brought in the issue of clientele. Now, a lot of people would say dealing with corporates, they're too demanding. It's a very difficult clientele to please. So what informed your choice of clientele?
That's a very good question, because I love excellence, and corporates love excellence. And the other thing is that I'm into corporate branding. What a corporate wants to achieve in an event is totally different from a social event. We don't do any social events. When you look at a wedding or maybe a birthday party, what they want to accomplish mostly is, Did how were people dressed? Did people eat? Were they full? Was there good entertainment? How did they see me as the bride? Do I look thick? For corporate, and even decor, for corporate, that's not the thing. What the corporate is looking for is the brand perception. Brand perception, brand awareness, brand visibility, brand marketing. So, and those are things that I'm very passionate about, branding and marketing. And that's the platform we create for corporates.
Yeah.
When you take a corporate and understand that they're selling a product and a service and you help them position that, then it may not be as complicated as it looks. What you need to do is just do it with excellence and do your own research very well and go out of your way and understand their brand at that particular point and see how you can create visibility for them during that event.
Now, Linky, I want to understand, what are some of the key things that you have learned dealing with big brands and dealing with corporates?
Fantastic. Big brands and corporates definitely are very professional. So you have to be very professional at every stage when you're dealing with them.
Yeah.
And you have to tick all the boxes. When you say you're going to do 10, don't do 5. You don't cut them short.
Yeah.
If you can, do over and above. Do over and above what you've been, asked or even quoted to do. So they are very clear most of the time what they want, and that even helps you articulate, exactly what they want to achieve. So if you have an understanding and a keen understanding of exactly what they want, then it's easier to actualize that as well.
And again, the issue of passion and converting it into a business has always been an interesting balance. You'll find someone who tells you, I love to do events, but I don't know how to get clients. So one of the things that you have to do, and I would suspect in the events business, is you have to pitch for clients. Why do you think your pitches, what is it about your pitches that makes you get the job?
Mostly it's, you actually don't sell an event, you sell the value that you're giving. The client wants to know, when you get a hold of my event, what exactly will you do? So it's the value. You have to articulate your value to the client very clearly to them, and that's what you sell. So mostly you don't sell the service, you sell the value that you're going to give out to the client. So that if that is well articulated, then you're good to go.
All right, and in terms of these value additions to an event or to a client, for Linky events, what is that one thing that sets you apart?
Fantastic. That's a very good question. The value that you get when we are doing events, as I mentioned, because we work with corporates, we create a lot of brand awareness, just, putting the brand out there. Either it's on TV or it's newspaper when we are having an event. That's very well, we make sure that there's very good awareness. Why? You don't want to do an event and only 2 or 3 people are aware of your brand. So just, sitting down with the client and asking, what's your target market? How many people do you want to reach? And then you just sit down and decide, this is how we're going to reach our target audience. And the other thing, of course, is just, what's the brand perception? And this, we do it mostly. We want also from the CEO to the team, to how, the display of the product or service, even how it actuated, it actually has to be very important.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a very polished product and your team don't look like, your service or your brand company. So we like infusing those as well. And that's why we are also very keen on branding CEOs and corporates and businesses, because then when you look like your brand, then it makes a lot of sense. That means then you're able to, because physical appearance and speech and what you're going to say makes a lot about an event. So you don't want to say one thing and then it looks the other. So we actually just fuse that together as well. And excellence, as in you want to give people an experience of excellence on how your brand looks and stuff like that. So
yeah, you clearly have a thing for excellence. So speaking of the same excellence, I know that you've mentioned this, the fact that the events business is high, its main whatever is what the workforce behind it. So how do you build a team that is reliable? because that is what is going to sort of dictate your success or failure?
Fantastic. So a team is very important when it comes to an event, because there are so many details when it comes to so many, like you need like 10 to 20, 30 things rolling at the same time.
Yeah.
So first, I think you need to get a team that's very passionate about it. And at times it's interesting because you find a lot of young people are very passionate about events, but they don't know the magnitude of work. So when they come, they are, it's a shocker. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that it's late nights.
Yeah.
It's I didn't know that I have, to stretch myself a bit. So at times, when it comes to passion, them understanding that you have to be passionate about it becomes easier, and they love it. So eventually they love it.
All right, let's shift gears, Linky. And I know that in 2020, from when we had this announcement that now COVID is here with us, and that disruption that happened, how did that affect your business?
I think we are in 2020 now, and I think I feel like I am breathing fresh air. Okay. This is just the most amazing thing, to breathe fresh air when you don't have tension, when you're not certain about anything.
Yeah.
That was 2020. And I think the most challenging thing is that the event and the hotel sector and the tourism were the first to be affected. Any other sector looked like it's going to have hope, except for us. And it looked, dark and dim and stuff. But here we are. We overcame that. Definitely, a lot of events were cancelled, and good enough, others were postponed that we are still doing until now. So it was a challenging year, very tough year, very uncertain year. And it was also a very emotional year. Yeah. It had a combination of everything that doesn't seem right in a business and of course in a society. It wasn't really a good state, but we thank God we're not in that state anymore.
Because I remember then a lot of event organizers, one of the things that they complain about is all the cancellation, and especially for events that you've put money in.
Yes.
So what was that downside for? What was it like for you in terms of losses? Did you make any losses? How severe were the losses?
Yes, we definitely made losses, and sad enough, we had I think only one client that didn't postpone and wanted their money back, and we had to decide to get at a loss. But most of them postponed, and they also did not understand what was going on. So some clients were very lenient, and just you don't miss a bit of hurdle here and there. So we had one of those, Jimmy, and it was such a loss that you don't even know what to tell. You don't understand what's going on, so you don't even understand how they are not understanding what the state of the the country looks like. And those are the things that you find organizations go through. And I thank God that for mentors in business that tell you, what, there's nothing you can do, just communicate to them, have a payment plan, see how you can be able to pay them back. But at the end of the day, we didn't want our clients to lose, neither did we want them to feel like this is something that we cost and stuff like that. So we looked for a middle ground. Yeah.
So are we talking millions? Are we talking hundreds of millions in terms of losses during that period for you?
If it's in terms of the cancellations that were done, Jimmy, it wasn't even funny. I promise you, it wasn't good, because we had an event, we had several events, even because we do local and international events. And especially when you have an international event, you've booked flights, the people building the booth, they've already built, even though the ones that have booked have already booked. Yeah. So you don't know how, it's already built. So how do you, it was just one complicated issue that we were dealing. I think I just respect, every business person just went through COVID. It's just a lot of respect, because you need to have a lot of tenacity to move on. And I think we are better. Yeah.
Because actually that now brings me to my next question,
Yes.
which is, how did you recover from those losses?
Yes.
And how long did it take, or are you still in the process of recovery?
Jimmy, we are still in the process of recovery. We are still handling that, Jimmy. We are way better than we were, but we are handling that a bit better than we were in 2020.
You're hearing the same story over and over. Then it was, let's talk after COVID. Now let's talk after the elections. It seems like it's history repeating itself.
Yes.
So, Linky, let me ask you this. You've mentioned having mentors in business. How important is it for an entrepreneur to have mentors?
I think it's very important, Jimmy, because you find you can't know everything. And there are places and there are situations and that you get into and you don't even know. Your mind is not right to even think through what you're going to do at that stage.
Yeah.
And so you have someone that has been in business and has gone through what you're going through. They're even thinking, okay, what's stressing you? Because they've gone there. They've been there, and they feel like that's not such a big deal. You need someone who shows you that's not a big deal that you're facing, not someone that shows you it's a whole mountain that you're facing. Then you will die. So it's important to have mentors that have been there, done that, and they're able to put your mind very sober and give you an advice or two, and even just talk and offload your stuff to them. It's important. Even though they say nothing, then you've offloaded it. But most importantly, the advice they give goes a long way.
All right, so let's talk about some of the lessons. And I know you have encountered a couple of lessons along the way. What are some of the things that you wish that when you were starting off, you had an idea of this is what is likely, is waiting?
Yeah, business is an interesting journey, because then you keep learning, but there are basic things that you need to definitely always put in place.
Yeah.
And that is, we call them the dream team. If you have the dream team in place, then you need to make sure that your dream team is holding you accountable. You need to have a very stable account manager. You can outsource, because when you're starting a business, then you don't have money to have a full-time. You don't even have money to count all that. So clearly it's important to have someone that is giving you expertise on accountancy. And even you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer to just help you put your things in place in terms of compliance and stuff. Because if you want to scale up and grow, then you need to have your papers ready. You know, when you're ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
Yes, and you will find opportunities. We'll only meet the prepared. So it's always good. And one of the things that has really, helped position ourselves is just to always be ready. We are always ready. Bring it on.
One of the things that I would want you to explain to an entrepreneur who wants to get into the events business, how long does it take for this business now to start bringing in returns? Because you'll find there are those ones who will get a contract, but that contract will go to expenditure, almost all of it or half of it.
Fantastic. And I think now the duration has become a bit short, because nowadays the world has become a globe. So you're able to learn a few things online. You're able to get information, and you don't have to really physically pay for it. You can find ways that you can be able to scale up without having to spend a lot of money, or even spend a lot of time as well. So if you're able to just prepare and understand, especially your target market, it's very, very important. Because most people think events is chairs and tents and all that. So for us, we don't handle that. We just manage that. We are corporate events managers. So we just manage that. That's not what we do. So just having an understanding of exactly what you're offering makes your work easier, so that then you're not, all over the place providing everything. You start bits by bits, then you grow at it, and you just make sure that you're providing clients. Your happy client are the best. Oh my goodness. A happy client, Jimmy, can bring you 10 more clients. They are your best marketers. And you know what? They are free marketers that have benefited from your brand. Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting tip. I'll keep that in mind.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the not so happy clients, or the clients that give you sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Clients that do not pay or delay payments. How big of a problem is this in your industry?
It's a big problem. Yes. I think it's just what I said. You need to have your dream team in place. Having your accountants and your lawyers just to help you on contract. How is the deposit paid and when is it gonna be paid. So when you have your dream team in place, they are able to help you avoid such losses, because then any business can get a loss and can do work and not be paid. So it's mostly not the event sector. So, but if you really have events, is because you've already done it. The client doesn't feel really any pain of not paying you because the event is done. So that's where you need to be more careful, to just make sure that you have your contracts in place and it's clear when you can receive your pay after the event is done. And you have your deliverables very clear, because the client can refuse to pay because they say, a service is very interesting. It's not like a product. You provide 10 glasses, you pay for 10. A service at times may not be tangible. That's why it's also good to indicate what service are you providing. So being very clear on what you're providing and the deliverables and the timelines for payments are very important as well.
All right. So, Linky, your final words to an entrepreneur who wants to get into this kind of business. You do not have the capital. How do you raise the capital? You do not have the clients. How do you get the clients?
Fantastic. I think to anyone that really wants to get into events, first, it's passion. Yes, be passionate about it and love it. And events are a good platform. I think events are places you can meet anyone you want to meet in an event, including the president, and don't have to book for an official meeting. So events are a good platform to meet networks and leverage on them, because when you do one event, say, for example, it has 500 people. Those are 500 people viewing your brand. If you do a good job, just even call it 10% of that. So definitely have passion, be consistent, and keep your word at it, and have excellence.
All right. And Linky, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us and share your thoughts during this journey. And we know that entrepreneurship is not a journey for the weak-hearted. It's a journey that requires a lot of persistence, like you said. I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us, and thank you for watching the show. We just want to also thank our location sponsors, that is Workstyle Africa. They're currently located at the address on 7th floor. It's a co-working space that you can come and enjoy the facilities that they're currently offering. And with that being said, that's all the time we have on the show today. Like we always say, every hour is business hour.